1 month before the wedding. Jason let Chloe, the scholarship student I sponsored, rehearse with him in my wedding gown. I calmly called off the engagement. It's just a rehearsal. Are you sure you want to make a scene? Yes. He didn't flinch. Fine. We still have a few days. Throw your tantrum. When our friends got my cancellation text, they asked him, "Aren't you afraid she means it this time?" He shrugged. She wants a home so badly, she'll never walk away. Every fight this year has been over Chloe, and every time she crawls back within days. Every word lodged in my chest like a splinter. Of course I wanted to marry him, 7 years together, and he'd watched me build my career from nothing. But a home can also be one person. I cancelled the Riverdale reception, the venue, the Eastbrook wedding atelier. I told Adrian I'd take the partnership in Riverdale. After this, we're nothing. When I finished the call, I opened Westlaw and pulled cases. 3 hours later, I noticed a text from an unknown number, a video. Rehearsal footage, Jason in his tux, Chloe in my custom gown. A couple of his buddies stood around. He stared at his phone. The timestamp showed the exact minute I'd told him it was over. I've already got her cancellation text. She left zero wiggle room. You still think it's just a mood? Aren't you scared she's serious this time? A friend asked. Jason slid the phone into his pocket, still casual. Venue and atelier aren't refunded. 7 years, she's dying to get married. Her senior partner offered her Starglow in Riverdale and she turned it down for me. He sounded absolutely certain. We never had to make up after fights. With the ceremony days away, she'll come beg me once she calms down. Chloe chimed in sweetly, "Big sis probably has pre-wedding jitters. She'll be fine after she vents." The friend joked, "You're really not worried? Catch her actually bolting and you'll be crying in your beer." Jason stayed cool. Then we slot someone else in. When she can't stand the silence and comes back, she'll be stunned, and she'll crawl back like a good girl. The friend teased, "Oh please, every time she got mad before, you panicked. What's different this time?" Finally grew a spine. Jason seemed to remember something. "How many tantrums during this engagement? All because I let Chloe try on the gown, while she was out of town on business. I don't get the drama. It's not like I'm actually marrying someone else. What's the big deal?" Chloe gave a gentle smile. "Big sis must feel insecure. Jason, you're amazing. I can talk to her and explain." The friend sighed. Olivia's temper has gotten worse. Longer she practices law, the more she acts like a shrew. Chloe here is sweet and understanding. Why not let the fake turn real? Olivia broke it off, so the blame's on her. Chloe's eyes flickered, unmistakably tempted. Jason cut it short. "Drop it. I'm not actually ending things. Chloe's just helping out, nothing more. A pretend wedding will give Olivia a wake-up call. Chloe still has to work at Starglow. If she keeps sulking, it'll be a pain." He draped an arm over her thin shoulders. "Let's run it one more time." The screen went black, and for a moment my heart stopped too. 7 years, ending like this. I picked up the phone and called Riverdale and the atelier to cancel for real. The instant I hung up, Adrian rang. "You're sure? Didn't you say long distance kills marriages? Last time you whined you couldn't leave your darling husband, now you can?" Why did he sound so pleased? I paused a beat. I'm done. Throwing away my career for a man suddenly feels idiotic. I came back to this town for Mom, she's gone now, so it's time to chase what's next. He sounded proud. Finally awake, professor's star pupil, terminal romantic. Thinking of my mentor made me ashamed. After Dad died on duty, Mom raised me on odd jobs and debt. In college she helped me get aid, roped me into her projects, fed me at her house on weekends. When I graduated in D decided to return to Eastbrook, she understood. After Mom died she invited me to join her team. I refused for Jason's sake. She only said, "Be happy." A moment later he asked carefully, "So when you get here, you're really focusing on your career?" I called off the engagement. Something like delight crept into his voice. "See you in Riverdale, then. See you in Riverdale." The plane touched down in Eastbrook after midnight. I slept soundly. Morning came, I booked movers, and they started packing. By evening we'd finished 80%. Before I could finish, I heard Jason's voice. Chloe hovered behind him, looking timid. He surveyed the chaos with a smirk. "Wow, big move, running away from home. Aren't you exhausted?" I kept my voice flat. "I'm not throwing a fit. We're over. I don't owe you explanations." He stayed lazy. Sure, as long as I'm not the one lugging boxes, knock yourself out." I ignored him and tossed the snow globe into the trash. His face darkened, he fished it out and tried to hand it back. "Once it's gone you'll never find another." For our first anniversary Jason had pulled strings for weeks to get that gift. I didn't take it. The air froze, and Chloe, silent until now, suddenly grabbed my hand. Big sis, don't blame Jason, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have worn the gown. I just wanted to help. You were swamped with work, and I didn't want anything to stall. Help? So the flowers at the chapel, the theme, even my engagement ring, you just decide everything without me? Whose wedding is this, hers or mine? Chloe froze, tears trembling on her lashes, biting her lip. I thought you were too busy, so I didn't want to bother you. I didn't realize you cared about the details. Jason's temper flared, he pulled her behind him. Olivia, enough. You throw a cancellation tantrum and she's sick with guilt, yet she still came to apologize. You said you were swamped, I'm swamped too. What's wrong with letting her handle things? He steered Chloe toward the door. Before stepping out he turned. Take a good look at yourself. A sharp pain stabbed through me. Yes, I needed to reflect, because I was the one who'd placed Chloe in Jason's orbit. I steadied my breath and kept packing. From an unused purse I pulled an old business card, General Manager, Starglow, Jason. The first time we met, 7 years ago, he'd pressed it into my hand. Back then I'd just passed the bar and had 0 contacts. Starglow's annual retainer was $100,000. I'd trudged through hospital wards handing out cards. After a fruitless day my boss chewed me out and kicked me out of the ER. The billing office reminded me Mom's next payment was due. I sat on a flower bed bawling. Jason handed me a tissue. What's wrong? For an instant he looked haloed in light. That year his own startup had barely left the ground, yet he hired me as outside counsel. 7 years later we'd both climbed higher, marriage had seemed inevitable. When did it sour? Around the time wedding prep began. Chloe was the girl I sponsored, her father the plaintiff in my first legal aid case, a wage theft suit for migrant workers. After we won, I saw how dire their situation was and offered to pay her tuition. After graduation I recommended her to Jason as a secretary. She grew competent, indispensable, I was proud. Until I realized she'd replaced me in every decision. Anniversary gifts, birthday surprises, she picked them all. And every item matched her taste, not mine. I protested. Jason said, we're busy, delegating saves time. Wasn't the whole point to see her stand on her own? You're buried in work, doesn't this help? Reasonable, on the surface. Yet it also felt strangely off. I realized he had started taking her to the same cafes we used to visit, the same restaurants we'd tried together. Even the global premiere of the film we both loved, he attended it with her. Even someone as thick-skinned as me began to sense something was wrong. Don't you think you two are crossin' GA line? Jason shrugged it off. You were out of town, buried in work, so later, incidents like that piled up, and so did my questions. He finally said, wasn't it you who asked me to look after her? By now, I was exhausted. That wedding gown wasn't valuable in dollars. It was the one my mother wore when she married my father. My father died young, but their love shaped everything I believe about devotion. With mother gone, I wanted to wear that dress when I married, bringing her blessing with me. That day I'd just left the courtroom, reeling from opposing counsel's ambush of surprise evidence. During the recess I glanced at social media. The first thing that popped up, Chloe on the red carpet in my wedding gown, Jason in a tux at her side. Comments gushed about what a perfect match they were, a match made in heaven. Chloe's a little plump, the gown strained against her. Seams were splitting. In that instant, I felt, what came apart wasn't only the dress. My heart split too. I was finally spent. 10 days later the confirmation of my bar license cancellation arrived. I sat in my regular cafe chatting with the owner, biting into a cinnamon plum bagel. Sweet cream cheese, tart plum bits. A bagel baked to the perfect chew. I used to think Jason and I were exactly that, everything in perfect balance. The only thing I'd miss here was probably this. Jason's been busy lately? Don't let work swallow you, relationships need tending too. She spoke while Jason and Chloe walked in together. The owner's eyes filled with pity. I guessed why she'd suddenly offered advice. We were close, but she respected boundaries. She never pried, yet seeing Jason parade Chloe around, she'd pieced it together and gently warned me. They settled behind a big potted plant. It hid me perfectly. Chloe scooped strawberry cake into her mouth. Then another spoonful straight to Jason's lips. He didn't refuse, he ate from the spoon. As natural as any couple. I stopped the owner before she could ch. Arge over. 2 more bagels, please. She gave me a pained look. Honey, I'll write the recipe down for you. A full stomach leaves less room for heartbreak. I smiled and said thanks. Bagel in hand, I walked out, shutting the door on them for good. Back home I began canceling vendors. The Eastbrook Wedding Atelier, Riverdale. I told them to keep the deposit, I wouldn't pay the balance. They hesitated, said they needed to think it over. I'd barely hung up when Jason called. What are you doing? Why cancel? Only then did I remember we'd booked everything together. His number was on every contract. It's just a dress. I wanted the best result for you. Isn't weeks of sulking enough? Let's go buy another one, okay? I had no energy to argue. Jason, we've called off the engagement. Fine, then don't show up on the day. I'll pick someone from the crowd and marry her instead. He still believed I was bluffing. After all, we'd never spiraled this far. Both of us were swamped. We didn't even find time for a Cold War. Arguments ended with one of us rushing off. Before any makeup flowers, court filings drowned every thought. When the trial finally closed, he'd appear with roses and a dinner reservation, and all was forgiven. Adult schedules are expensive currency. But this time I was done. The vendors called back. They'd spoken with Jason. He absolutely refused. Next morning I went to Starglow to hand over my files. As I stepped outside he seized my wrist. How long are you going to keep this up? There's still time before the ceremony. He spoke without a trace of anger. All right, I know work made me ignore you. We won't cancel, everything can be changed. No roses if you hate them. Tell me what you want, straight out. I frowned at his certainty. The wedding, whatever form, has nothing to do with me. Are you even listening? He kept talking as if I hadn't spoken. You're throwing a tantrum again, on the day you'll just fuss because something isn't perfect. His self-talk. LK amused and infuriated me. I tried to pull free, his grip tightened. Before I could answer, his phone rang. Chloe's name flashed on the screen. Williams, a project file is messed up, can you come back? Handle it yourself, I'm calming Olivia. Silence on the line, then a scream, and the call cut. It wasn't the first time. I've wondered how she always times these crises to steal him away. She used to handle her tasks competently. Yet from the day we started planning the ceremony Chloe's mistakes multiplied, each one near disastrous, as if Final Destination had cast her as the lead. Still, Jason falls for the act every single time. Better hurry, she's probably in mortal danger again. He studied me, I showed nothing. Go home and wait for me. I gave a flat Off you go. He ruffled my hair and sighed, she was entrusted to me, can't let anything happen. Be good. I'll come straight after, an hour at most. At home I did one last sweep of the apartment. By 3 a.m., of course, he hadn't returned. Neither was I waiting. My flight left at 3. I passed the time analyzing a Supreme Court ruling with Adrian. Out of habit I shared the article on Instagram. A red notification popped up, Chloe had posted. Running a fever while boss sat through hours of 4 drips. Where do you find such a thoughtful boss? Photo, her in a hospital bed, 4 in hand, Jason dozing against the mattress. One comment read, shipping them so hard, rich boss times clumsy secretary. Another, told you he's sweet. When Chloe spiked a fever, he dropped the Zhongxi contract, took the last flight back, then caught the dawn flight to the site. Though I'd already ended our engagement, acid still pooled around my heart. The night he flew to Zhongxi I'd just left Starglow when the defeated defendant caught me outside, vowing revenge. I ran several blocks, called 911. Instinctively I tried him, straight to voicemail. At noon the next day he said he'd slept early, then raced to the project with no time to call. So th. It was why he'd been on a plane. Afraid of disturbing his work, I said nothing, only realizing later that what I'd labeled crossing lines was merely the tip of the iceberg. I'd played the fool they amused themselves with. At 2 a.m., I checked in for my flight. Jason's text arrived belatedly, Olivia, got tied up, call me when you wake. Weddings in days, so stop the drama. No matter how you fight it, I'll be waiting at the aisle. I stared at the message, blank. Apparently he still thought me gullible. 3 hours later I touched down in Riverdale. Adrian waited at baggage claim holding a sign. In the car I idly opened Instagram. Chloe had updated again, her ring finger, wearing the ring she'd chosen for me, slender hand interlaced with Jason's. Caption, forever. Comments mixed congratulations with confusion. 99 wishes, isn't that the boss's hand? Isn't he about to marry someone else? Chloe replied, bride bailed, he says he'll just swap in someone new. I blocked Jason everywhere. Deleted Chloe's number. A new city means a to-do list. File the paperwork for a fresh bar license. Report to Starglow. When the errands were done, more than 10 days had slipped by. My calendar pinged, wedding day. Only then did I recall setting the reminder a year ago. A twinge of melancholy. Adrian noticed me zoning out and glanced at the screen. Ever heard the saying? If you spot disaster before the wedding, treat it as good luck. Yeah, sounded about right. That afternoon, I opened a social app. Location-tagged videos for Eastbrook pushed a clip to my feed. At a wedding, the groom, Jason, stood on stage. The ballroom doors swung open. A bride in a wedding gown, veil over her face, waited behind them. She walked toward him step by step. She never lifted the veil. Not until the vows were finished and the officiant said he could kiss the bride. Beaming, he lifted the veil, and his expression shattered. He yanked the veil off. Why you? Where's Olivia? Chloe stepped forward, timid as always. Jason, she didn't come. I'm willing to be your bride. And we just said the vows. Jason shoved her away. Get lost. You're not who I'm marrying. Olivia, right, she's still mad at me. He tore off his boutonniere and shrugged out of his jacket. Anyone who wants her can have her. Chloe's once flawless makeup dissolved into streaks of tears. Jason. The clip trended for days. Locals chimed in nonstop. My cousin's co-workers at that firm. Supposedly the real bride was the girl's sponsor and got her hired as a secretary. Everyone in the office knew she wanted to move up. She schemed every chance she got. I closed the video. Got back to my own life. Over the next weeks I finished the paperwork and started at the new Starglow. I have my own corner office now. Floor-to-ceiling glass facing the riverfront skyline. Day or night, the view never repeats. A month later, a former Starglow colleague messaged me. She sounded unsure. Olivia, you and Jason are really over? Is he harassing you? She hesitated. Not exactly. After that video with the White Lotus went viral, he looked everywhere for you, then kept showing up at Starglow. When he learned you'd resigned, he asked where you'd gone, but the boss wouldn't say, so he'd camp in the conference room all day. One clueless intern mentioned you'd left to become a partner in Riverdale. He said he had no idea. He cried like a kid, said you two had a plan to meet, but since the intern didn't know details, he might hit every firm in town. Watch out. I thanked her and rubbed my temples. Jason arrived fast. He stood outside Starglow, clothes hanging loose. A month had carved the weight off him. None of that confident groom from the wedding video remained. His cheeks were almost hollow. When he saw me, life flickered back into his dull eyes. Olivia, I finally found you. He reached for me, but Adrian casually stepped between us. You, always nagging her to take on more work. Always? Before I could process, Jason clanked had a fist and swung at Adrian. I barked, enough. A punch sliced the air inches from Adrian's shoulder. I led Jason up to the rooftop. Wind whipped our clothes. His voice cracked in the gusts. Why? A little over a month and you vanished, called off the wedding. Why? I looked at him evenly. Jason, didn't I tell you the engagement was over? When I refunded the Eastbrook ceremony deposit, I spelled it out on the phone. He gave a bitter laugh that twisted into a sob. Because she wore the gown? Over something that small? Small? I don't think so. Disappointments pile up one small thing at a time. 7 years together and you drop us for this? His anguish felt real. My career only takes off up north. You gave up a partnership elsewhere to marry me. Why quit now over this? I don't get it. Jason, you know exactly how much I sacrificed, so you assumed I'd never leave. You let me feel slighted again and never changed. He froze. I never thought you wouldn't leave. I reminded him, that day I didn't just see the rehearsal clip of her in my gown. Skip the apology, wedding's days away, she'll cave and beg me soon. Just slot someone else in. She comes crawling back, dumbfounded, and begs me to carry on. I repeated every word. Color drained from his face. I didn't mean it, Olivia. Bragging to save face with friends. When you ignored me, I panicked. I wanted to find you, but I thought, like always, a few days and we'd be fine. When you canceled the venue, I freaked, called and rushed over, but you were so cold. I figured this was just another tantrum. Tears streamed. He sounded ready to cut his heart out. But I'd run out of reactions to his drama. I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I never did because we're both busy. The little time we shared was too precious to waste on fights. Tantrums are childish and corrosive. Calling off the wedding was a decision I made with a clear head. I turned away. His voice chased me. Olivia, this time let me chase you. Build your career, I'll follow. I'll be the one to compromise. Wait for me, I'm coming. I kept walking. I didn't believe it. Everything he had was rooted in Eastbrook, leaving meant starting at zero. 3 months later, Adrian and I walked out of court after winning a self-defense case. The whole Starglow team was pumped. We agreed on drinks to celebrate. I can't hold liquor, Back in Eastbrook I dodged happy hours, but tonight I was elated and overdid it. When we left, Adrian had to steady me. He helped me into the car. The warmth knocked me out at once. I woke at midnight. The bar's only 20 minutes from my place. Why didn't you wake me? You were exhausted. The cabin light stayed off. His phone cast a pale glow across Adrian's face, the lenses flashing. A long-buried memory surfaced. In college I juggled 3 jobs to ease mom's load. Dozing off mid-sentence was routine. One evening I fell asleep on the bus. When I woke, a hand cushioned my head against the window. A guy. I thanked him. He only said, "It's okay, you were dead tired." The neon glare was too dim for me to catch his face. The stop announcement chimed and I hurried off. For no reason the moment stayed with me. Adrian, I once, knuckles on glass cut me off. Outside the window stood Jason. I told Adrian to head home and stepped out. Jason clutched a paper bag stamped with the logo of my favorite cafe. "Olivia," he said, smiling ingratiatingly, and held the bag out like a trophy. "Cinnamon plum bagel, I made a special trip." Inside, the cream cheese had melted and the plums browned. It looked awful. He scratched his head, embarrassed. "I came this afternoon, waited too long. Don't tell me you're here just to deliver breakfast." He fidgeted. For once he looked nervous. "Olivia, I fired her. I had your gown restored." From the tote he produced my mother's wedding dress, every popped seam mended, perfect again. I didn't take it. So what? It's meaningless now, Jason. We canceled the engagement, we broke up. None of this matters. He swayed, his eyes reddened. "I know I messed up, I let her get too close." He started to reach for me, then stopped. 7 years, Olivia, can you really walk away? I stared at him, face blank. Yes, 7 years. I entrusted her to you so a girl from the mountains could aim higher. And you handed her my life. I'm busy, I want efficiency, I want our rare free moments spent talking. But once she showed up, my tastes didn't count, my own wedding wasn't mine. When she ran a fever you drove across cities overnight, didn't answer once, gave no explanation, never asked why I'd called. I said nothing, even while a defendant chased me with a knife while you were in the air. His face went paper white. That day she fed you cake with her own spoon, Jason, and you didn't even flinch. I watched the whole thing from the bar. Jason, you still say you were only looking after her because I asked you to? He stood frozen, mouth opening, but no sound came out. I turned to leave. He seized my wrist in a death grip. I swear, except for that one time, nothing else happened. I never touched her. My heart only has room for you. I never wanted us to break up. I still want to marry you. You asked me to watch out for her, so I paid her a little extra attention. I've always thought of her as a little sister, I swear. I gave a short laugh. And that includes taking her to see the movie I love and to the cafe we used to go to? Your heart has already drifted, admit it or not, it's true. Jason wept, promising over and over. In the past, I would have ached for him, this man who had walked beside me for 7 years. Now, looking at him like this, I felt only revulsion. A set of headlights swept over us. A figure approached slowly. Olivia, need help? Adrian walked up and rested a hand on my shoulder. He had come back. Jason glared at him, eyes bloodshot. It's because of you she dumped me. I cut him off sharply. This has nothing to do with my senior par. Mayor. His eyes were red, voice hoarse. Have you fallen for him? I didn't answer. If letting him believe that made him give up, so be it. Adrian slipped an arm around my shoulders and walked me home. Behind us, Jason's voice rang out, I'm not giving up. Jason kept his word, he really didn't give up. He shut down his local company and relocated his work to Riverdale. When the tenant across from my apartment moved out, he moved in. Whenever we met in the hallway, I walked past without a word. Every night he would set a home-cooked dish outside my door, knock, and leave. I ate the food, wasting it would be wrong, but that was all. Adrian and I were swamped with work, our teamwork flawless. As expected, once romance is off the table, careers soar. After another victorious verdict, I earned my first $300,000 contingency fee. I was still wondering how to celebrate when an uninvited guest barged into Starglow. Half a year later, I saw Chloe again. She was gaunt, no trace left of the fragile white flower act. She looked like a roadside bloom withered by frost. Olivia, it's all your fault. Because of you he dumped me and blacklisted me in the industry. I have nowhere to go, no job. I had to shack up with some old leech. You have no idea how disgusting he is. That day, by chance, most of the lawyers were in the office, gathered together. Her scandal had trended on social media. Plenty of people recognized her. Wow, the nerve. Our Olivia bankrolled her, and she repays her by stealing her boyfriend. Talk about feeding a stray that bites your hand. Chloe's face flushed green and white under the flood of accusations. She lunged, shrieking. I was in heels and couldn't dodge in time, nearly twisting my ankle, when Adrian yanked me against his chest. Chloe collapsed on the floor, laughing like a madwoman. Why? Why can't I? I'm younger and prettier than her. Adrian kept me tucked to his side. Youth and beauty are currencies, sure, yet someone will ys be richer. Olivia studied her way up and sponsored you so girls like you wouldn't stay trapped in the muck. You bathed in her light, then tried to drag her into your swamp. For that alone, you'll never measure up to her, or to any woman clawing her way out, even if she isn't as young or pretty as you. Jason arrived, having heard the commotion. He hauled Chloe to her feet and dragged her away while she was still sprawled. Someone recorded the scene, posted it online, and Chloe was nailed to the pillar of shame. 3 days later I received a text from Chloe's father, Attorney G. I failed my daughter. I offered him a few words of comfort and went back to work. That evening a news alert popped up, a society item reporting that he and Chloe had fallen from a building, dead on the scene. I stared at the headline, stunned. Years earlier, her father had been injured on a construction site. The contractor withheld his compensation and seized his wages. It had been my first legal aid case. After more than 6 months of running around, I finally recovered the money, barely enough to cover the basics of his treatment. Chloe had almost dropped out of school. I remembered her wall of merit certificates and the yearning in her eyes when she talked about studying. I decided to sponsor her, hoping her life would bloom like a flower. The defeated contractor stalked me in the dark one night and slashed my arm. I never regretted it. Chloe deserved blame, but I never wished death on her. 6 months later Jason moved away as well. Ever since Chloe's scene at Starglow he had appointed himself my chauffeur, picking me up and dropping me off every day. On the nth time we bumped into each other, the last flicker of hope in his eyes finally guttered out. I heard his Riverdale relocation had been rough. His business had always thrived up north, while Riverdale's market was saturated, competition cutthroat. Before leaving he messaged me, vowing to pull himself together and meet me in at the summit. Adrian happened to see the text and snorted. Summit? Let's see him crawl out of the valley first. I shook my head. You really hold a grudge against him. He circled me in his arms. He tried to steal my wife, of course the grudge is huge. Since when am I your wife? I pouted. He bent and brushed my lips. In my heart, you've been my wife for a long, long time. Adrian's side story, the first time I saw Olivia was at a debate tournament. The motion, can you accept your partner having close opposite-sex friends? She was the pro, I was the con. She argued eloquently that falling in love doesn't require cutting every social tie. I held the opposite view. My side lost. When she won, she smiled with a dimple denting her cheek. That very day, I remembered the junior who'd beaten me. Word was she topped every class and professors adored her. Stay in Riverdale and she'd go far. Later I spotted her shaking bubble tea in a campus shop. A classmate from her year told me she was from a single-parent family, carrying a heavy load. One evening I rode the same bus. She was so exhausted she fell asleep, her head knocking rhythmically against the window. Bang, bang. She'd rattle her brains out. I slipped my hand between her skull and the glass. As we neared campus I wondered whether to wake her. She jolted awake, but before I could speak she stepped off. She hadn't missed her stop, I had. I recommended her to the library for a work-study gig, thinking it might ease her load. She still juggled multiple part-time jobs, yet her grades stayed stellar. A professor invited her onto his research team. Everyone assumed she'd remain in Riverdale after graduation. Then her mother fell ill and she went home to Eastbrook. Less than 6 months later news of her dating reached me. I figured that was that. Her career proved outstanding even in Eastbrook's underdeveloped legal market. She still rose to the top. Her defense brief for that domestic violence survivor made the Eastbrook top 10 list. She saved a woman who, after decades of abuse, had killed her husband, securing a suspended sentence instead of prison time. Our department head sighed, if only she'd joined Starglow. I pulled strings, sent messages through half the city, all came back declined. After we got together I asked her about it. She said she'd only seen 2 offers. So who rejected the rest? But none of that matters now. My attorney Olivia is in full bloom, she has the career she built, and she has me. I believe that makes her happy. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.